5.5 behind front-running K-State. The Wildcats have a tough one at home against Iowa State later today. Baylor has cooled off. They've lost 2 of their last 3, still only a couple of games out. Alongside Tim Welsh, I'm Clay Matvick. Baylor shorthanded today. Tristan Clark has been out for the year with a knee injury since January the 8th. Makai Mason missing his 2nd game this week with a toe injury, and King McClure out for the 3rd straight with a knee injury. It's going to be a tough sledding today for Baylor. Tom Eads, Jeb Hartness, Bert Smith, our officiating crew, and we're ready to go here in Lubbock. And Baylor controls the opening tip.
Well, Baylor's limping home to the finish line. They've done a good job of managing these injuries, but today it's going to be a tough task on the road against an angry Texas Tech bunch coming off that win in Waco last month.
Devontae Bandu throws it away right into the hands of Matt Mooney, the transfer from South Dakota for Texas Tech.
Well, Baylor early in their trademark matchup zone. Texas Tech's going to run their zone stuff and some motion, try to get the ball inside and then back out to their hot shooters, Moretti and Mooney.
First shot goes up, and it's rounded out for Lawrence Odiase. Moretti, second chance points for Texas Tech right out of the gate.
Moretti and Mooney, M&M, they were hot in Stillwater the other night, and they continue to really shoot the ball well.
Like we said, injuries wreaking havoc on Baylor. The starting 5. Butler, Bandu, Kegler, Vital, and Gillespie. Early timeout here in Lubbock. Back in a moment. So Scott Drew calling an early timeout, Tim.
He's not afraid to use his timeouts, especially on the road, to calm his team down, get the crowd out of the game. But that was earlier than normal for Scott. He understands he's up against it today, shorthanded, and looked rattled early.
Mooney diving for the loose ball. It's a jump ball, and the possession arrow will give it to the Red Raiders.
Well, Tech had a spirited practice yesterday. They got after it on defense and really talked about attacking this zone and getting up into the shooters on the perimeter of Baylor's.
Mooney, Moretti, Culver, Owens, and Odiase. Owens and Mooney, the transfers who played so well for Chris Beard this year. Here's Mooney. He'll attack right into the paint. Floats it up. A little strong. And Baylor wants to run with the freshman Jared Butler leading the way.
That's how you have to attack the zone. Off the bounce, get it into the lane.
Kegler from the corner. And Mario Kegler, the transfer from Mississippi State, gets Baylor on the board. We're tied at 3.
Well, even without Makai Mason and King McClure a week ago, they played toe-to-toe with K-State at home for about 36 minutes. They ran out of gas, so Baylor will give its best effort today, no doubt.
Averaging 74 points per game in Big 12 play. That's first in the league, but of course Baylor missing 26 points per game without Mason and McClure this afternoon. Bandu drops it inside to Mark Vital. Can't find the handle. And last touch by Odiase. It'll stay with Baylor with 14 on the shot clock.
That's one thing. It's a no-no against the Texas Tech defense. Vital that time just trying to back his way into a scoring slot there, and you see with each dribble the defense just collapses.
Baylor ending that 2-game losing streak by beating Oklahoma on Monday. Now there's another Baylor turnover, and it's Freddie Gillespie, the former walk-on, throwing it away.
Well, that's not Freddie Gillespie's fault. I mean, there's no way that he should be the outlet way back there on the baseline out of bounds. One of the guards has got to go get the ball, get it right out of his hands. They can't let him try to throw that long pass.
Some communication mishaps here early, I guess understandable given the personnel problems for the Bears. Shot clock at 10. Odiase gives it back to Mooney. He returns the pass. Odiase battling, gets his own miss. He'll put it back on the perimeter. Moretti knifing in and out. Couple of looks, nothing to show for it.
Yeah, doing a good job being scrappy. Moretti had a pretty decent look though in the middle of the lane.
Baylor 3 turnovers in their first 4 possessions. They'll score here with Butler.
Jared Butler's had an outstanding freshman season and playing with a lot of confidence. He and Bandu are tough outs out on the perimeter.
Butler had 19 against Texas Tech back in January. He's become one of the top freshmen in this league. Culver Well, I tell you, Baylor is really defending hard around the rim. But, Texas Tech will get to the foul line here with Culver.
Texas Tech is not really getting a lot of ball or player movement against this one. They're kind of standing around, trying to dribble into the gaps and make something happen. But Chris Beard wants them to run their motion, get some cuts through the defense, and go inside, then back out to open up the perimeter. But Baylor is going to swarm the basketball. There's no doubt about that.
Culver has been in double figures in all but one game this year. He had 19 points, 9 boards, 5 assists in the loss at Baylor. He's an enemy of many teams in this league.
Chris Beard was really emphasizing taking care of the ball against this zone. In the first game in Waco, they had 17 turnovers. He thought most of them were self-inflicted, and he thought they were played very sloppy handling it in the half court.
There's Gillespie again doing a lot of ball handling. And the big man sets a pick. Bandu can't clear it. He's got 5 to shoot.
Texas Tech switching on every screen.
Butler with the shot clock winding down, hoisted a 3, and now foul underneath against Gillespie.
Well, Texas Tech, their defensive philosophy, hard ball pressure, switch every screen, and when the ball comes into the paint, 10 eyes on it, make you drive and kick it back out.
Flo Thamba is going to check in. A true freshman for Baylor. He's 6'10" out of the Congo. As Gillespie will come out. Those are the two guys that have picked up the minutes since Tristan Clark's injury. From the corner, that's partially blocked out of the hands of Culver. 16 to shoot for Texas Tech.
Matt Mooney and Davide Moretti have really played well together as of late, just sharing the basketball and shooting it very well from the perimeter.
Culver going to work. Offensive foul on Jared Culver, much to the chagrin of the fans here in Lubbock.
Well, that's how Culver usually makes his money. That really, the drive from the top, that explosiveness, but he's going to get it as much against his Baylor zone, because once he drives into the gap, he's going to see that second and third defender.
Scott Drew has traditionally run the zone almost exclusively. We've seen him mix it up a little bit more this year, just out of necessity. Butler has it poked away. Here comes Moretti running the floor with Texas Tech. Boy, Davide Moretti, one of the most improved players in the Big 12. The sophomore out of Italy. Nice pass. Owens can't finish, and he's fouled. Tied at 5. We step aside here in Lubbock. Back in a moment. In how Texas Tech does here against Baylor.
Rough stuff for the young man, obviously, and his teammates are there to support him. He was not at practice yesterday. Chris Beard, matter of fact, came about 30 minutes late to practice because he was consoling Norrance, and fine young man, Norrance Ordiassi. It's a shame that he's got to go through this, and our hearts go out to all of the families.
Tariq Owens at the line for the Red Raiders, who have started out cool from the field. 1 of 8 shooting. As you see, Norrance Odiase, the senior from Fort Worth, battling through here today despite a heavy heart. Texas Tech leads it 7-5, a game and a half out of first in the Big 12. Another 3 goes in, and it's Mario Kegler with his second 3 ball of the half.
Well, that's how you have to beat the Texas Tech defense. You've got to drive it into the gap and then be ready to kick it back out. You've got to be spaced on the perimeter, ready to lock and load.
Yeah, Baylor very short-handed today. Moretti knocks down a 3 of his own, his second.
Well, there's one thing you know on the board in the Baylor locker room said, don't give Moretti an open look, because as of late, he is on fire.
Butler off to heel. Gathered up and moved out by Francis. Edwards will try a 3. Yes! Kyler Edwards, the 4-star recruit. And now Texas Tech has come alive shooting the ball.
It started with Kyler Edwards. Head up, kicked it ahead to Moretti, up the sideline. Moretti gave it back to him, A little drive and dish back to the organizer.
Kegler. Blocking foul, and this crowd isn't going to like that either. Tariq Owens called for the personal. 6'10" St. John's transfer dusts himself off. That's his first foul.
That's where you have to be careful, though, if you're Baylor, trying to just put your head down and get all the way to the rim from the perimeter against this swarming Tech defense. I mean, they come at you. They are not going to let you get to the rim. They're going to close the door very quickly.
Beyonce back into the game. And he'll defend the inbound. Hard not to be rooting for him here today. Loose on the baseline. Thamba has it blocked by Odiasa.
With a forced look up the middle of the floor to Moretti. He was racing ahead, but defended well on the outside by Butler.
Mark Vidal, one of the better rebounders in this conference, posting up inside. It'll be Bandu driving, kicking. Kegler from the other wing this time. Got it! And the foul. He was fouled by Kyler Edwards.
Well, again, this is how you beat the Tech defense. You've got to make the shots first and foremost, but you've got to drive it with your head up, wait for that second and third defender. He has the 3 defenders on him, has the awareness to spot up Kegler on the weak side.
Here's Chris Beard in his 3rd year as head coach here at Texas Tech. Bob Knight disciple. Took the team to the Elite 8 last year. And there's Kegler completing the old-fashioned 4-point play.
Great job by Baylor. Not only the awareness to drive and kick it, but tremendous spacing and drifting on the baseline on the weak side before the help could come down and protect.
Kegler already in double figures for Baylor. Francis. He splashes home a 3.
That's what Brandon Francis does. He's just a veteran player, plays with a lot of confidence, toughness on defense, ready to shoot on offense.
All of the field goals for Texas Tech have been from outside the arc. 4-point lead for the Red Raiders. Kegler is spinning. He'll flip it to the corner. Bandu. And that was stripped. Deshaun Corprew got a hand on it. And Culver will slow it up.
Again, can't say it enough. You've got to be ready to make that pass when you drive it into the gut of the Tech defense.
Short corner. And there's Corprew. Deshaun Corprew, the sophomore guard who helped South Plains College to a JUCO national title last year. He has played well here the last month or so.
Very good awareness by Corprew just to sneak down on the baseline behind the defense. And we have a little extracurricular activity, I think. Bert Smith. Not sure what he called. Anyway, on the offensive end, Texas Tech doing a good job against that zone on that last possession. Ball faking, getting the zone to shift, and then Corprew at 6'5", kind of sneaking behind the defense on the baseline. We had the good old-fashioned, the old warning.
Yeah, Scott Drew getting an old slap on the wrist.
It's okay. Anything to stop the flow. Get a good old warning in.
Yeah, we're almost 8 minutes in. We hadn't had one yet.
I warn the kids all the time. They just look the other way. Just play. Forget the warnings.
Baylor with the shot clock winding down again. Butler with 5. Lofts it up. Got it. That's a 3 for Butler.
Again, Butler does a really good job of creating space. He's got that strong body at 6'3" and ability to get into the gaps and then pop back out.
This game is all about the 3. We have seen 8 3-pointers today for these two teams combined. That's a foul on Thamba for Baylor with 11:45 to go in the half. Texas Tech leading by 3 here in Lubbock. Bulldogs 1 seeds and Kentucky a 2 seed right now.
Well, Tennessee is going to have to really prove their worth coming down the stretch, not only tonight, but at Auburn, at LSU, at Ole Miss, with Kentucky, Mississippi State at home in their final 7 after tonight. So they are playing the iron down the stretch.
Extra pass for Mooney, and then Odiasi is fouled over the back. That's the 15th foul on Baylor.
There's something in the air today, and it's all good from the perimeter. 8 for 11 combined, these two teams from the three-point line.
By the way, who do you like in the Tennessee-Kentucky matchup tonight?
I like Kentucky coming off a loss. And, Tennessee, I think they've worn the crown well, the so-called crown being #1 for 4 straight weeks. But I think Kentucky's a little bitter about that game they lost home earlier in the week to LSU, and they're playing very well.
With that said, Rick Barnes, maybe your national coach of the year right now?
Right now, he is, definitely, not maybe. He is. I would cast my vote for him right now. I don't think he's going to give it up either. He's had an unbelievable season. And they're here. They're built to last as well because they defend. His teams always defend, but now they've got scorers this year as well.
Culver fouled along the baseline with exactly 11 minutes to go here in the half.
It was one of the few times, Clay, this afternoon that Baylor did not run back and get that defense set and allowed Culver some room to roam on the baseline.
So Culver will go to the line again. That foul on Matthew Meyer, the 6'9" true freshman from Austin, Texas. Vital is going to come back in for Baylor.
Jarrett Culver, he is quietly this year. And I know around Lubbock it hasn't been quiet, but nationally just had an All-American type season. He has just been unbelievable. Every night takes it's the X on his chest because everybody says you must stop him first and foremost. And had some struggles offensively because he hasn't had enough help. But lately with Moretti and Mooney starting to score, Culver has really flourished.
KK feeds Gillespie, who had a wide open jumper. Couldn't finish. Some good ball handling there by Moretti. Culver without a field goal yet. He's 0 for 3 from the field, but 4 for 4 at the line.
Yeah, they're really paying a lot of attention to him in this zone. It's allowed other people to open opportunities from the outside.
Gillespie with the backside rebound. Baylor down 5. Without Makai Mason. Without King McClure. And of course without Tristan Clark for the last month. Kept alive by Baylor. They've got 10 to shoot. Under 10 minutes to play in the half. Butler had it blocked by Owens, and that's what he does. Bingo. Mooney banging home the 3.
Well, again, that's what Owens does, but that's what Texas Tech defense does. They just swarm the basketball, 10 eyes on the ball. If that ball comes into the lane, you have to expect that second and third defender, and then the shot blocker at the top.
Meyer drives, and another block for Owens. Mooney pushed from behind with 9:17 to go in the half. Matt Mooney has absolutely been on fire from 3. He was 5 for 5 on Wednesday night against Oklahoma State, and he's hit his first 3-point attempt today.
Well, yeah, when you're a grad transfer, you have to have some time to get comfortable in your new surroundings, your new teammates, and the defense coming one way turns into this. That's confidence.
So Mooney's going to go to the line for 2. Started his college career at Air Force. Then went to Vermillion, South Dakota to play for the South Dakota Coyotes. And now as a grad transfer has found himself at Texas Tech, and he has been a great fit with Chris Beard's team.
Well, absolutely, they need his scoring. And as of late, he and Moretti have started to play off each other very well, find those open opportunities as teams load up on Culver, and they have made defenses pay. The other night in Stillwater, they were just almost perfect from the perimeter.
Now Baylor finds itself behind by 10. 7-0 run for Texas Tech. A drought of about 3 minutes for Baylor now. They've missed their last 6 shots. Okeke from 3. And a foul underneath against the Red Raiders. Okeke in the game, again out of necessity for Scott Drew's team, a former football player for the Baylor Bears. They just need bodies on the floor to take up some minutes.
Well, he did a good job last week in the Kansas State game, played 10 minutes. You know, he hasn't been in the rotation at all, but not sure Scott wants him pulling so quickly in the clock from the outside.
Mooney guarding Kegler. Bandu, nice crossover. No, not nice enough. Called for the travel.
Again, the defense just swarmed. You take that second, third dribble inside the three-point line, you get into the lane. The defense is taught just to swarm, attack, try to get a deflection, get into your vision, and close the door quickly.
5th turnover on Baylor here in the first half. It's a foul out high against Mooney. That's Kegler's first personal.
A little frustration seeping into Baylor on the defensive end because of their lack of fluidity on the offensive end of the floor, and they've just got to settle down a little bit. Just try to space the floor, drive it quickly, and then reverse it and try to get some open threes to try to loosen up that defense.
So Mooney goes back to the line for the 1-and-1. Texas Tech doesn't have a midweek game this coming week. The Jayhawks will come in here next Saturday. That could be for first place. We'll have to wait and see. Kansas, of course, has had struggles on the road this year. 2 wins against 6 losses in Big 12 play.
Looks like they've got to figure it out a little bit better the last few times they've played, not only in Lawrence, but the good win over TCU in Fort Worth. And this league can turn upside down very quickly. You saw Oklahoma win today at TCU. A much needed win for them. Oklahoma playing a lot of zone today. Changing their ways, hitting some shots down in Fort Worth.
Just a look at the standings in the Big 12. Texas Tech behind K-State. Kansas State hosting Iowa State later this afternoon in Manhattan. Kansas will be at home against West Virginia after we're done here in Lubbock. And there you see Oklahoma now 4-9 after the win today. And a disappointing loss, I'm sure, at home for Jamie Dixon, especially considering what they most recently did on the road at Hilton Coliseum in Ames. Go there and get a win, but they don't take care of Oklahoma at home.
No, you cannot ignore anybody in this conference, and including the bottom 2 teams that have had struggles with injuries and off-court issues. But Oklahoma, earlier in the season, played like a top 25 team. They were ranked in the top 25 at one point, so it's there for them. They're just trying to find their way. Today was a good step in that direction for the Sooners.
Baylor won for its last 10, well over 4 minutes without a field goal, and they're not going to get any points on this trip. Culver foul coming back up the floor for the Red Raiders. All Texas Tech right now here in Lubbock. 27-15, Texas Tech leading here in Lubbock. Yeah, Texas is one of those teams here in the Big 12 this year where some nights really tough to beat, other nights you're just not so sure, but they're certainly better at home.
It's how their guards go, Coleman and Roach. As they go, so does Texas. They're very talented, but some nights they'll have an off night and they don't have enough other firepower to win without those two. Meanwhile, Baylor, deep foul trouble. 8 bodies, 4 of the bodies, 2 fouls.
And Texas Tech on a 10-0 run. They've opened this game wide. Kegler, his first miss from 3. Vital, a great offensive rebounder, gives Baylor a second chance, and Bandu hits another 3.
Good job by Vital. The awareness just to kick it back out, find that open man. Those opportunities are few and far between against this tough defense.
Vital, the leading offensive rebounder in the Big 12. Once the Bears pull back to within 10. From the corner. Off for Brandon Francis. Gillespie with the rebound.
That's what Baylor has to do. Just play with the high hands, shut off the inside, and keep Tech off the free throw line.
Wow, Butler hits another 3. That's his second. And out of that last time out, the Bears have certainly been more poised.
They have, and Texas Tech kind of took their foot off the pedal a little bit on that possession defensively, didn't pressure the basketball.
Butler, the transfer from Alabama, never played for the Tide, but officially a transfer from Tuscaloosa. Culver. 4 on the shot clock for Edwards. He's strong. And it belongs to Baylor with 6:14 to go in the half.
This is the best way to get a 3. First of all, Butler got the Vital kicked it back out on the previous possession, but on the pick and roll, Moretti kind of got caught down in the paint and was not up to contest.
Butler, another one of the many players who've stepped up since the Clark injury. Everybody's got to step up today with so many people out. Bandu. Get the bounce, and there's a foul underneath. It's going to go on Vital.
Vital just wiped out Tariq Owens down on the baseline. And again, Texas Tech is scoring 2 ways, from the three-point line or the free throw line.
And they're actually going to give it to Gillespie.
I figured they'd find somebody. Pile of bodies going for that ball.
So now we're going to come back to the other end. And Tariq Owens is going to be at the foul line. I think they misidentified the player, and I think that's what Scott Drew is complaining about over there. It will be Owens shooting 2.
And Texas Tech has only 1 field goal inside the three-point line. That was that little baseline shot by Corcoran against the zone. Other than that, it's been 3-pointers and free throws.
Tariq Owens, a couple of blocks here in the first half, gives him 63 on the year. He's inching closer to Tony Batti's single-season record here at Texas Tech, which is 71. Lead is 9 for the Red Raiders. Here's Butler. And he throws it away.
Now that's that pressure. You feel it. You know you've got to give it up. He was anticipating one of his teammates sliding down to that corner on the weak side. That's where you can beat it, where you drive in, kick back out, but no one was home.
You talked about the turnovers, Coach, and how they really plagued Texas Tech in the last matchup with Baylor. They had 17. Only 3 here in the first half. And Owens showing the soft touch from the short corner.
Well, Texas Tech doing a nice job operating against that zone, taking their time, spacing it, and Owens can make that shot all day long.
Francis commits the foul to put Vital on the line.
Scott Drew's been trying to work his way to the free throw line over there on the sidelines, and I don't blame him. 14-1 to this point.
Mark Vital has had a difficult time at the foul line this year, just 46%.
That's where you kind of shake your head as a coach. You have to keep being aggressive, and sometimes the calls will tilt that way, but you're back playing a 3-2 zone, and Texas Tech is playing a swarming, aggressive man-to-man, and the free throws are 14-2.
And really aggressive there is Vital after the free throw miss. It's going to stay with Baylor. Man, I tell you what, he's like a football player on the basketball court. He's got that kind of mentality. He reminds a lot of people of Rico Gathers.
Any coach would put this guy in the lineup. He gives it up.
And like Rico Gathers, also a native of Louisiana. He's from Lake Charles. Leading the Big 12 in offensive rebounding. Gillespie goes for the dunk, can't get it to go. Van Duke keeps it alive. Not for very long.
Active hands, deflections, get up in your vision, swarm the basketball. Texas Tech D.
And that's kicked by Butler. So Gillespie goes in for the left-hand hammer and just can't finish.
He's just got to go strong. He just didn't have that angle for the dunk. He should have just laid it up off the window.
Junior from St. Paul, Minnesota, had a career-high 13 against K-State last week in a similar situation for Baylor. They were also without McClure and Mason in that game, a game you did, and Baylor hung with the leading team in this league for a while.
They did. You know, they made it a possession-by-possession game, and in the end, K-State's guards were too much, and they kind of wore them out.
Moretti steps away from the defense. His three misses everything. Tip back out to Francis. Has to hurry. Culver got it off. And got the shot.
It looked like you got it off. The officials are going to check. In the meantime, it's a punch in the gut to Baylor. Just great awareness by Francis, and then Culver ready for the opportunity.
It's a good three for Jared Culver. And he is the pride of Lubbock, Texas. Went to nearby Coronado High School. Fans love him here.
Brandon Francis made that play, though. He just had that awareness. He thought at the end of the clock he was just going to throw it up, but he saw the moneymaker in the corner ready to nail it.
One of the many nicknames Culver has here in town. Lead is 14 for Texas Tech. That equals their biggest lead of the half.
It's too bad it's against NCAA rules, because he could get a free milkshake probably anywhere in Lubbock, that man.
That's true. And Kegler draws the contact. He'll be at the line when we come back. Down 14 here in Lubbock, Texas.
And Joe Lenardi is going to join us. Yes, he's back in the bracket bunker here in Bristol. We're already talking about it. Guys, back to you. Looking forward to the half.
All right, Chris, yeah, it's going to be fun. And Joe Lenardi has 8 teams in the tournament right now from the Big 12. If that stands up, that'll be a record for this league.
You know, a lot of people were discussing Oklahoma and their league record prior to today, so much needed boost for the Sooners heading down the stretch, and obviously have work to do, but this conference, again, one of the best, if not the best. 8 out of 10.
It's something else. And we've got more Big 12 coming up on ESPN right after we're done here in Lubbock today. Kansas hosting West Virginia. Kansas, of course, got upset in Morgantown last month. Gillespie had the rebound and lost it, and now a foul. It's going to go against Baylor.
Fierce on the glass. Gillespie made a good play, just lost control of it, but kind of a offense by accident, but aggressive behavior again by Texas Tech around the rim.
Brandon Francis at the line, the senior from the Dominican Republic. He had a season-high 14 at Baylor and Waco last month.
Interesting, Clay, that in league games, Texas Tech's getting out-rebounded by their opponents by almost 2 per game. But today they are presenting a lot of toughness against a Baylor squad that is really good on the glass.
Kegler's going to sit down. Freshman Matthew Meyer comes back in for Baylor with 3.5 to go. 36-22 Texas Tech. Trying to get their 9th win in the Big 12. Butler. Lazy pass there, or a confusion between him and Vital leads to a turnover.
Well, Butler had nowhere to go, so he had to just dribble drive into the gap. The problem was there was no one on his side of the floor. Everybody was bunched up on the right side. He had no one to deliver the ball to.
Nine first-half turnovers now for Baylor. And Texas Tech gives it right back. Culver's been quiet today. He's got 8 points here in the first half, but only 1 field goal.
Well, maybe a little frustrated against that zone, and that time tried to force the issue.
Meyer catch and shoot. Misses everything. Vital puts it up, got it, and he'll go to the line for the bonus.
Vital flexes his muscles, and he should, because that was just brute strength to secure that rebound and finish the play in deep traffic against good defense.
Vital, 6'5", 230 pounds. When he carves out a spot on the floor, it's hard to take it away from him.
You know, and he doesn't demand the ball. He doesn't want to post up. He doesn't try to do a lot offensively, but he makes his efforts known, bullying his way up on the glass.
Mooney. And Texas Tech will get a fresh shot clock. Culver throws up a 3, and that might get him going.
Whoa. That was a parachute that came down sweet.
Now Mooney with the foul, not near half court. 1-1 on Matt Mooney.
Well, Jared Culver has not had many easy looks, and for some reason, Freddie Gillespie just backed off him. He should have waited and made him pass it from the top instead. He said, "I'm in the gym by myself."
Jared Culver, the star power left over from last year's Elite 8 team for Chris Beard. You think about what Beard lost from that NCAA tournament run. Keenan Evans, Zaire Smith, 5 of their top 6 scorers from last season. And yet, here they are in the thick of the Big 12 race in February.
The constant besides Culver and Moretti and Odiasi, of course, is the man on the sidelines. And they stay their way with the tough, rock-solid defense. I mean, their defense is as good as anybody's. They stay consistent with it. They play it the same way every night.
Just about the same spot. Culver doesn't get it this time, but they get the offensive rebound. Mooney behind the back. Owens went up for the slam. What defense by Baylor. Crowd thought there should have been a foul, but Baylor just played that well.
They did, and Owens took it tough, but Baylor resisted.
On the other end. And they continue to hoot and holler here in Lubbock.
Well, Baylor has been doing a nice job of protecting the rim, and here, the double block on Owens. Just great ability to elevate.
Foul shooting hasn't been particularly sharp here in the first half for Baylor. 4 of 8 now at the line. Bandu gets the back end. It's 39-27 with 1.5 minutes to go.
The last 3 possessions, Texas Tech a little uneven, a little quick with their pulling the trigger on the top. They've got to move the ball, try to drive it in the gap, kick it back out to get their open threes.
Corprew for three. He's fouled, and he'll go to the line to shoot 3 foul shots. Darius Allen, one of the reserves who's being called on here today, commits the foul.
That's an inexperienced play by Darius Allen. He just kind of turned his head in and was not aware that Corprew was in his neighborhood in the corner and fouled him.
Number 4 Virginia in Blacksburg to take on number 22 Virginia Tech in our rivalry week Big Monday matchup. It's going to be the second meeting in the last 23 years with both teams ranked in the top 25. The last time was just a month ago when the Hoos blew out the Hokies by 22. 7 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Monday, rivalry week presented by Wendy's.
Great games just continue to appear in that ACC. Just unbelievably brutal this year. Texas Tech changing up the pace a little bit. They'll do this on occasion at the end of the half, playing a little 2-3. Sometimes in this possession they will switch back to man, and they have done that.
Flamba tied up, jump ball. It's going to keep it on this end.
Baylor's had some problems with the baseline out of bounds, and here Texas Tech showed zone, but in the middle of the shot clock, about 15 seconds, they switch back to the man.
Just 7 to shoot for the Bears. And Owens rejects that one out of bounds.
Dan Baylor not cutting hard enough on the baseline out. They're just kind of floating to their spots. And if you cut soft against this Texas Tech defense, that will happen. You saw the early turnover where they had to throw to Gillespie way in the backcourt, and now just nobody was open on that possession.
4 to shoot. And Butler swims that one in from 3. He's had a good first half.
It was a nice play. The little dribble handoff to the inbounder. Tech did not guard it properly. They went under the screen.
13 points for Butler to lead Baylor. 4-second differential between the game and the shot clock for Texas Tech. Culver over Butler. Yes, another 3 for Jared Culver.
He is feeling it. That jumper looks sweet.
Vital has it blocked ahead of the horn. And Vital's going to go to the line.
That was really good recognition by Baylor just to race it up the court. Tech was kind of back on their heels. They were celebrating that 3. They never got set or stopped the ball. Good job cutting to the rim there. And Butler, with his head up, found the open man.
They're going to put some time back on the clock. Tom Eads, Jeb Hartness, and Bert Smith talking about it now. Tom's over at the Modern. Vital's been at the line a couple of times here in the first half. He's 0 for 2.
So if the foul occurred before the end of the half, obviously they have to put time back on the clock, and that's what the officials are looking for. So if I was going to get a couple shots and a couple tenths of a second left, give Chris Beard some time to bark at his team for not getting back on defense. But give Baylor credit, though. Jared Butler just did a nice job of weaving through the defense, and Vital did a nice job of moving, cutting to the rim.
Texas Tech is 46-5 here at United Supermarkets Arena under Chris Beard. 13-1 this season. And maybe unlike previous coaches here at Texas Tech, he has done a great job engaging the fans. You can see there was time on the clock when Vital was fouled.
Nothing better than Chris's fireside chats that he has. Always entertaining to watch those while we're on the plane flying to Lubbock. But listen, going to his practice was even more enjoyable yesterday. The first times I've been to a full practice here. And reminded me of a Villanova practice, a Jay Wright practice. Basically, the first 20 to 30 minutes is fundamentals. through ball dribbling, passing drills, working on your footwork, working on your fakes. And that's why they're so solid. They can play small, they can play with different lineups, and then they get into their defensive stuff, and it's a joy to watch how they talk on defense, how they play as 5 as 1 in the half court.
0.5 of a second back on the clock. Vital will be at the line to shoot 2. But Chris Beard has really made the engagement with the fans part of his program, and he's done a terrific job with that. The fans appreciate it too.
There's no doubt about it. They appreciate his team first and foremost. That's the thing. And he's added on to that with his personality, and good boost for Baylor after that dagger 3 by Culver.
Tickets have been hard to come by the last few years with Chris Beard as the head coach. Fans not disappointed in the first half against an undermanned Baylor team, 45-32 at the break. Now to the studio, Chris, LaFonso, and Dallas. Holding teams to 36% shooting on the year. That's tops in the country. And Baylor shooting 35% in the first half, and we've got our first foul. Just 11 seconds in. It's on Gillespie. That's his third.
Sorry, Clay. That's a good special they ran right out of the locker room. Chris Beard drew that up, and little half-court back screen. Kind of drew the defense away from the backside and then over the top to Owens.
Owens with 6 points in the first half. 8 of the 10 field goals for Texas Tech in the first half were from 3, and 7 of the 9 field goals for Baylor were from 3.
Well, the amazing thing, too, is Texas Tech out-rebounded Baylor. They really pounded them on the free throw line, and they did this. They got up and swarmed the basketball. Baylor really has to do a better job of changing sides of the floor with better spacing.
We talked about Jared Butler. He had 13 in the first half. And he'll throw up that shot, a wild one. Rebounded on the backside, out to Bandu. His 3 doesn't go. And Norris Odiase with the rebound. He is playing with 3 fouls for Texas Tech and a heavy heart, as we talked about at the top of the broadcast. Lost a couple of cousins in a car accident on Thursday night. And there's another Baylor turnover.
And it's amazing. Odiase's even out here on the floor, and Chris Beard just consoling his player, giving him a lot of good pats on the back. He deserves it.
And he's going to sit down on the Texas Tech bench in a 14-point game. The Red Raiders can pick up their 9th win here today. Culver, no. And that's another foul on Baylor. This will go against Kegler. And now Kegler has 4 fouls.
I don't know where that one came from, but Bert Smith had his eye on it. Obviously, Kegler shoved somebody trying to go get the rebound.
Scott Drew's going to waste no time getting him out of there. As Matthew Meyer, the freshman, comes back in for Kegler. A lot of warm bodies on that Baylor bench today. Can't afford someone to foul out early here in the second half. Culver kicks it out. Moretti, good shot fake. And Moretti is fouled.
Well, Culver created that because they closed out on him so hard. Butler had to really close out on him because of those threes he made in the first half. So now, how do you guard this guy when he can shoot threes and put it on the floor? And then Moretti with a great balance.
And Gillespie just picked up his 4th. So now Flo Thamba is going to check in for Gillespie. 2 guys now with 4 fouls for the Bears.
Well, that was not a smart foul by Gillespie, but it was created by Moretti, and his ability just to change direction quickly in the jump stop for the mid-range shot.
Texas Tech with 5 games left after today, including hosting Kansas here next week. Thamba lost it. Quick hands by the Red Raiders defense. They set up Moretti. Tap back out. Moretti tries again. You bet.
Moretti says, I'm not missing 2 in a row from that spot. But the big fella, Culver, with the extra effort and energy to create the 3.
11 points now for Moretti. He's got 3 threes. Adds it over and back. And this crowd is really chewing on the Baylor Bears. Early minutes.
The son of a coach. Questo e bellissimo. That's beautiful music in Italian. Moretti.
Jared Culver and Texas Tech leading by 19 now here early in the second half. Our bracketologist, Joe Lenardi, joins us now. And Joe, this Big 12, a lot of people think this is going to be a record year for the league, getting teams into the NCAA tournament. What are your thoughts right now?
It went a long, long way in that direction earlier today, guys, with Oklahoma posting that big road victory at TCU. That gets the Sooners all the way up to 4-9 in the conference. Now, if I had a vote, you'd have to do a whole lot better than that to be tournament eligible, 500 or better, but the rules are what they are. Oklahoma would be the 8th team from the Big 12 in, and whether it's 7 or 8, and comparing that to 8 or 9 from the ACC or Big 10, let's remember they're doing it with 10 teams. So they're getting up to 80% of their league in the field, and that would be a record.
Now, Joe, what about this team we're seeing today? Baylor all banged up, kind of limping home, trying to find a way to win their home games. Where do they stand in your mind?
They've done well enough winning at home to stay, I don't want to say solidly in the field. I wouldn't call them a lock, but they're certainly more in than out in kind of that 8-9 seed range. You know, nobody wants to be in that spot because then if you win, you get the number 1. But certainly Baylor at this point would take it. And I think they'll still find a way to win enough games to get into the field of 68. It's not the strongest bubble in the world. We have 6 teams in the field right now that are losing teams in their own conference.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
You bet.
Joe Lenardi, our bracketologist. And what a year it's been for the Big 12, and what a year it could be. He thinks maybe 8 get in. Lenardi thinking 8, and Mooney thinking 2 more.
Well, you see it in social media. The big misconception is, you know, people want to look at the league record, but the league record has no determination on whether you get into the tournament or not. So that's why, again, Joe makes a great point about Oklahoma, and obviously a much-needed win. I think Oklahoma's going to get in as well because they'll find their stride. Today was a big step in that direction, not only just with the win, but playing with some confidence heading to March.
How about the confidence of Davide Moretti? That's his 4th 3 here today.
Oh, goodness. Perfect form from the corner. Balance. Eyes on the target. High follow through.
It's an 11-2 run for Texas Tech. They've got their biggest lead of 22. Meyer drives, and he's fouled. So Matthew Meyer will go to the line for Baylor. Davide Moretti, the sophomore from Italy. He's got 14. 56-34, Texas Tech at home. Great Tim Welsh and Clay Matvick back here at United Supermarkets Arena in Lubbock, where Texas Tech has controlled this game essentially from the outset. Baylor, as we talked about a couple of times, missing key men. King McClure and Makai Mason both out with injuries. Expected back soon, but no doubt Scott Drew and company came in here shorthanded.
Well, Texas Tech playing with a rhythm on both ends, and Baylor just not being able to hang right now because of the deep foul trouble and the ability of Texas Tech to just guard you and swarm the basketball and then share it on the offensive end and knock down shots.
You know, this isn't a good sign as Vital is down on the floor and not exactly sure why.
Scott Drew's not sure either, and he wants the officials to look at the monitor of possible flagrant situation.
Vital waving off Scott Drew, saying, I'm going to be fine. I want to stay in this game.
There's nothing there. It's just an illegal screen by Tariq Owens, but got Vital a little stunned from the backside.
Drew is going to take Vital out anyway and let him regroup. Kegler comes back in, but he's playing with 4 fouls. Gillespie also has 4 for Baylor. He's on the bench right now.
What else are you going to do if you're Scott Drew? You're just trying to get to the end here and hang in, maybe make a couple shots to loosen up this defense.
Drive and score by Kegler. He had 3 threes in the first half. He's got 13 points overall. Francis, short jump shot, in and out. Texas Tech, provided they don't collapse here in the final 14 plus, they get to 9 wins and be a half game behind K-State for first place in the Big 12. K-State in Manhattan today taking on Iowa State, and that should be a good one too.
It'll be a fun game, there's no doubt about it. And Iowa State got stung by K-State in Ames, and got to go in there and try to move that basketball and try to get some open shots against a really stingy defense. Now, Texas Tech's defense and K-State's really mirror each other. They swarm the basketball and give a lot of help in the lane, trying to make you take tough twos.
How about the job Bruce Weber has done with the Wildcats? Now, I know they made a nice run last year, but they started out 0-2 in league play. They didn't have Dean Wade right away. He was banged up, but they have been able to collect themselves and won 9 straight in the league.
Well, obviously, Dean Wade coming back is a big thing, but now with Cam Stokes starting to get healthy, he's starting to make shots as well. So they've got the big 3, their version of it with Barry Brown. Just 3 guys can go get 20 any night.
Kansas also in action today, 4 Eastern, taking on West Virginia in Lawrence as soon as we're done here in Lubbock. And K-State hosting Iowa State on ESPN2 at 4 Eastern. After the Meyer 3, it's 56-42.
Well, there's no quit in this Baylor team. They're still playing tough, aggressive defense and move the ball and hang in.
Now Francis fouled by Okeke. K-State, as you talked about, they still have a trip to Lawrence. Otherwise, it's a pretty favorable schedule down the stretch for the Wildcats. I mean, if there's ever going to be a year where Kansas doesn't win the league, this sure looks like it.
That's good ball movement again, and that's where Owens can really hurt you on the short baseline. And K-State, again, just like this Texas Tech team, they're built to last. Another team that we forget was in the Elite Eight a year ago, returns everyone, and they're getting better and better as the season progresses.
Stripped. And there's some confusion between the officials on who the ball belongs to. Tom Eads, Jeb Hartness, Bert Smith are going to get together for discussion. And it belongs to Texas Tech with 12:55 to play.
Well, Bert Smith had a good angle on the play, and I think he made the proper call. Here you see Butler just kind of threw it up in the air and hit the shot clock.
Here's Mooney for 3. At that time.
Good contest in the corner, and
he's going to stay with Baylor.
Kegler lost control of his dribble coming up the sideline, and can't get loose with the ball against this Texas Tech team. Mooney kind of stripped it away. Good call by Tom Eats.
By the way, that Mooney missed from 3, his first in 2 games. He was 5 for 5 against Oklahoma State the other night. Hit his first one here today. He's 1 for 2 from outside the arc. That's a traveling call. He's got a makeup call.
No, it's a
is that legit?
Yeah, no, it's a bad decision by Kegler, one way or the other, because, again, you take that 3rd or 4th dribble, backing yourself in against this Texas Tech defense. No way.
15 turnovers for Baylor. Just the reverse of the story back in January when these 2 teams met. It was Texas Tech who turned it over 17 times in that game and lost. 5 to shoot. Edwards the extra pass. Mooney draws the blocking foul. And that's Thamba picking it up. We step aside. Under 12 minutes to go.
But if you give him a little space out there, he can really hurt you. But off the bounce, gets into the lane and really unselfish.
14.6 rebounds, 4 assists to this point for Culver. There's still almost 12 minutes to go in this game. Red Raiders may very well be on their way to their 4th straight blowout victory. And that's a blocking foul inside that goes against Odiase. It's going to be his 4th. And he's going to come out again.
Thumb did a good job on the delivery, just finishing over the top, but Baylor has to continue to try to drive it and kick it out to the 3-point line to get back in this game.
Can only imagine what Lawrence Odiase is going through. It's the death of his 2 cousins on Thursday. Thamba misses in close, got his own miss, went back up, drew the foul. So Thamba will be on the line for Baylor.
I like Flo Thamba, and I think the Baylor staff does as well. He's ever improving. He's not a guy they're going to throw the ball to down the box, but he's got pretty good hands, big body, and the ability to elevate. He's going to be a keeper down the road.
Grew up in South Africa, came to the United States in 2014. He has a 7'5" wingspan. He stands 6'10", but his arms stretch out to 7'5".
Tristan Clark will be back next year. And then they've got Macy O'Teague and Davion Mitchell, the transfers from UNC Asheville and Auburn sitting out. So Auburn will be back. They'll still be hurt from this season once they get Mason and McClure back.
And you heard Joe Lenardi say, you know, as of right now, they're in the tournament. He has them as an 8 seed as it stands. There's Culver with 2 more.
Again, how do you guard him? You got to go out and pressure him on the perimeter because he's shown the ability today to knock down threes. And you do that, he's going to find an angle and beat you off the bounce.
KK with the travel. And again, he's a former football player who's getting minutes here because of the injuries. And at times it looks a little out of place out there.
Well, that's not his fault, though. There's no doubt about it that they've got to give him some help. And Devontae Bandu just kind of stood on the wing. He has to go get the basketball from him. He's got to be the point guard. OKK's got to be the guy just going to make those reversal passes and take up a few minutes while the guards get a rest.
You know, we've seen Oklahoma State this year have to hold tryouts just to get enough guys to practice. They had to add 2 players that are walk-ons to the roster just to have enough bodies to play out games. We've seen that happen. Were you ever in a situation like that as a head coach where you had to ask for walk-ons?
Well, we usually have walk-on tryouts in October. I think everybody does. But when you have to have them in January, then you know you've been bitten by some trouble.
Culver will shoot free throws.
Again, the high closeout, the ball fake, and the ability off the bounce with the left and the great body control to draw the foul.
Already 23 free throws for Texas Tech. That's 24. So they've been at the line a lot, and they've been making them.
Well, Culver is so good because not only his ability to just blow by you with his athleticism and his body control, but he handles the ball so well with both hands. He handles it almost like a point guard. And he, on top of everything else, he's unselfish. He'll give it up if you send the second defender out.
Texas Tech 22 of 25 at the line. And now Gillespie is tied up. Will stay with Baylor with 16 to shoot, but Texas Tech is just so quick with those defensive hands.
Well, the closer you get to the rim, the more bodies you will draw to the basketball, and that's what Texas Tech does. They just swarm it as it comes into the lane. Look at that. 3 defenders attacking and a turnover.
They're holding teams on average to 57 points per game. There's a chance they could do that again here today. That's second best in the country as far as scoring defense. Another 3 for Culver. Edwards keeps it alive. Owens goes in, and now another trip to the free throw line for Texas Tech.
Baylor is just getting worn out right now. They're getting beat to loose balls. They're a little slow on their shifts in the zone, and only having 8 players is catching up to them, especially with all their foul trouble.
Tough situation for Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears today. Drew in his 16th year leading this program, over 300 wins, 7 NCAA tournaments. Considering everything from a personnel standpoint that he has had to deal with this year, Tim, this might be one of his better coaching jobs.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, listen, they were a team with Clark in the lineup, and then they had to, without Clark, had to change kind of what they were doing, and had some good wins. We were there the night Mason had the 40 points, so obviously you know how important he is. And he had an off shooting night the other night against Oklahoma, but had the 8 assists. So once they get back whole, they'll be a tough out again.
It's a toe injury, hyperextended toe, and just too sore to go today. They're hoping that they're going to have him on Tuesday.
Well, if you're big, you can kind of lumber up and down the floor a little bit and play with a sore foot or a sore toe. But when you're a point guard and so much goes through you, and I think the thing is with him is that they're trying to get him fully healthy for the stretch run. And I think it's a smart move him not playing today, because obviously winning the home games is paramount. And if they take care of business there moving forward, Baylor will securely be in the tournament.
The home games remaining for Baylor: West Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma State. Road games are tough. At Iowa State, which is Tuesday night, K-State, and then the regular season finale at Kansas. And the Bears are 0-14 all-time in Lawrence. And Gillespie is just fouled out.
Well, he had a lot on his shoulders today, kind of playing as a one-man band in the middle of that zone, and got called for an illegal screen, and Baylor is going to be really small out there on the floor. Flo Thom is going to get some good minutes here coming down the stretch.
On Butler. So Moretti, who's an absolutely terrific foul shooter, at 92%, goes back to the line.
Well, Moretti has such great footwork out there in the perimeter. He kind of just lured Butler into that foul. Butler was trying to pressure him, and play angles out there on the floor, but little jab step, protected the basketball. Really worked hard in the weight room. You see his body's developed since he's been here at Lubbock, and of course misses the foul shot.
Way to go, Tim. His first miss at the line today. He's 5 of 6, but this Texas Tech team, there's no doubt they can play defense. There's no doubt they're great at the foul line, specifically Moretti and Culver. There are times where they struggle to score. We haven't really seen that today. But that might be the one knock on Texas Tech, that at times they'll go stretches without being able to put it in the hoop. As Thamba turns it over for Baylor.
I think that was the issue at times at the beginning of the Big 12 season, but we believe that Moretti and Mooney are playing off each other as well as they have all season long. They're getting used to playing together. Obviously, Mooney's first season with Moretti and playing with a great player in Culver. Teams are loading up on him, so they're getting more open looks. And I think Owens as well is starting to fit in better as the season progresses in his first year.
He's been very athletic today. Blocking shots, rebounding well. A factor around the rim. As Edwards will be fouled. And that foul will put him on the stripe when we come back. Under 8 to go, 67-46.
We're on the app, guys.
All right, Chris, looking forward to those games. K-State, of course, leading the Big 12. Haven't lost a Big 12 game since losing here in Lubbock. That was back on January the 5th.
Well, they are hitting their stride heading to March, and they showed it the other night in Stillwater, an offensive explosion from the three-point line, and today they kept it going. But again, they're going to hang their hat on their tough man-to-man defense.
Chris Beard is going to start going to his bench. Malik Undigo is going to check in. Sophomore out of Arizona. And Noren Sodiase is going to get a big round of applause as he gets a hug from Chris Beard. That young man has been through a lot in the last 36 hours.
It's unbelievable. Just the emotion, and just it's unbelievable that he's even out here today. It really is.
He lost 2 cousins in a car accident on Thursday night. And not only did he play in this game, he started the game. He, by his standards, not a very well-played game. And he collected a lot of fouls early, but you can understand where his mind is obviously distracted.
A young guy like that, I don't even know how you stand straight up, and he made his way out here for his teammates today, and I'm sure for his cousins as well.
Great support from the Red Raiders faithful. A moment of silence before the game. And a round of applause as he exits here with 7 minutes and change to go in the second half. Edwards wide open. And another foul underneath. Inside Culver. You know, you forget that Jared Culver's just a sophomore too, Tim. I mean, he's got a lot of great basketball ahead. And you think sooner or later it's going to be at the next level.
Well, they're enjoying him in Lubbock for now. But what a great story. Hometown player and ever improving. Just looks like he's been in the gym, because his jumper looks pretty good and improved, and he's confident from the outside, but not forcing the issue, still taking what the defense gives him. And it's hard to guard because he's constantly moving without the ball in their motion offense, and Chris Beard does a nice job of moving him around the floor. He's not stationary. He's not in one spot. They don't run a lot of set plays, so it's hard to scout them and say, okay, we're going to take this away, because of that motion and the constant movement and great spacing they have.
Really got to tip your hat to the way Beard has developed players in a short time here in Lubbock. He guided Little Rock to 30 wins in 2016 before coming back here to Texas Tech, where he was an assistant under Bob Knight and Pat Knight for several years.
Texas Tech now just taking their time, but Beard's still coaching them over there. Baylor's gone to the man-to-man, so now you're going to see their classic 5-man motion offense. Everybody constantly moving, changing sides of the floor with the ball, a lot of player movement and good spacing.
5 on the shot clock. Already makes a move. Wide open Moody from a deep three-point shot. That's a violation. Grab the iron. You know, you were talking about still coaching Chris Beard. He's not going to sit down until this final horn sounds. He's got a little Bob Knight in him.
Well, I'll tell you what about him, though. And I saw it yesterday, and you saw it right there on the sideline with the hug to Lawrence Ordiasi. He was not present for the first 30 minutes of practice before a huge game because he was consoling that player and making sure he was okay and handling whatever they had to handle with the tragedy and the news of the tragedy. And you know, there's no handbook for that when you take a coaching job on how to react and how to handle those type things. But you could see Chris Beard knew what he was doing and knew first and foremost he wanted to make sure his player was okay emotionally.
Coached under the Knights for 10 years here in Lubbock. The Elite Eight last year, the first for this program. Myers going in for the dunk, and he's fouled. And this is turning into a free throw shooting contest. It's on Francis.
Well, there's not a lot of flow right now. Everyone's just, whoever gets it, putting their head down and trying to get right to the rim. And then there's a lot of body movement right at the rim and hacking.
Baylor, really good road team the last 7 years. Only Kansas has a better Big 12 road record since 2012, but getting a win here today was going to be a long shot given the circumstances. As Ondigo with the stick back on the right-hand hook.
Ondigo got the quick hook from Chris Beard on his first appearance. He didn't like him standing around out on the three-point line. Gave him a little talking, put him back in, and voila. Production.
There's Kegler with his line drive jumper that doesn't go. Don't forget, Kansas hosting West Virginia coming up as soon as we're wrapped up here in Lubbock, Texas. Red Raiders well on their way to their 9th Big 12 win against 4 losses. Their 21st overall victory. Baylor's going to fall to 7-5 in the league. Out of bounds to Baylor with 4:04 to go.
Well, it's a tough thing to go through as a coach. You know, there's not much you can do. You just try to get your guys ready to go out there and fight. But when you're on the road against a top 15 team, shorthanded as they are, Baylor, they were up against it from the get-go today. But they will be back. There's no doubt in my mind.
As Butler hits another 3. He's got 16 points now. And he is 4 of 5 from outside the arc. He has been one of the highlights for the Baylor Bears today. And Francis answers with a 3 in the corner on the other end. Let's go to Chris Cotter in the studio back in Bristol. Chris.
Okay, Clay, just a reminder, as you can see on the right, they're about to tip things up at Fog Allen, Kansas, and West Virginia. You can see that game streaming live on the ESPN app. As soon as you guys wrap things up there in Lubbock, we'll move Kansas and West Virginia over here to ESPN. Until such time, let's take a
remind you, we've got 3 of the top 5 teams in the nation on ESPN today. Zion Williamson, number 2 Duke, hosting NC State at Cameron Indoor at 6 o'clock. Then number 1 Tennessee and the school record 19-game winning streak on the line on the road at Rupp against number 5 Kentucky. Should be good today.
Well, LSU is really kind of flown under the radar. They're as talented, I think, as both Kentucky and Tennessee, but Tennessee will be tested down the stretch at Auburn, at LSU today, at Ole Miss. And they've got a Kentucky and Mississippi State at home. So Rick Barnes will find out a lot about his team here in the last few weeks.
The game today going to go a long way to deciding who wins the SEC.
Absolutely, and LSU again will have something to say about that. They've got a lot of talent.
Under 3 minutes to go. Meyer comes up short. All the reserves playing out the stretch here for Texas Tech. And we continue to have fouls. This is on Parker Hicks, sophomore out of Decatur, Texas. These are the guys that work just as hard in practice, getting some minutes in a live Big 12 game, and they don't always happen. Sports Center tonight after Gonzaga, San Diego with Bucci and Anderson. Jay Billis joining the show to break down that showdown between Tennessee and Kentucky. Plus Murray State's Ja Morant, projected top 5 NBA draft pick, to be in action against Eastern Kentucky. And the best from NBA All-Star Saturday. That's midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on ESPN Sports Center.
Well, it really is a great story what Rick Barnes has done at Tennessee in a short period. But was there any doubt? I mean, he's always been a winner going back to George Mason, Providence, Clemson, Texas. 16 out of 17 years in the NCAA tournament. So why wouldn't he do it at Tennessee? And he's done it in a special way. He's got a special group there this year. And I know he totally really likes coaching this team.
Hicks gets the basket. Get a chance at one more. The thing about Rick Barnes is he didn't even really have to change his wardrobe that much. A different shade of orange, but not by much.
And he's still good old Hickory. That was his nickname back in the old days. DJ Carlissimo and his Big East brethren back in the day when he was a young gun at Providence, and just a super guy as well.
First top 5 SEC matchup since 2003 when Kentucky defeated Florida. Let's see if the Vols can keep that streak alive, get it to 20.
How about Kentucky, though? Every year, the constant is this. Right about now, they start to hit their stride. John Calipari is, I think, one of the elite coaches getting his team to play the best at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's a great tactician. One of the best. This is Mballa driving and scoring. Josh Mballa from Bordeaux, France, getting on the score sheet.
Chris Beard getting a lot of frequent flyer mileage. A little Italy, a little France, a little Culver there. Look off the glass.
Allen. Now this is Avery Benson running into the front court. A minute 20 to go.
Believe me, Clay, you're correct. These guys were doing the closeout drills yesterday in practice as well. So getting a little love for Chris Beard here late.
They work just as hard. Van Du is fouled. We get another stoppage here with a minute 10 to go, and we go back to the studio and Chris Cotter.
Okay, guys, just one more reminder. Kansas and West Virginia, they are coming up next. You can see the Jayhawks with a 2-point lead right now as they go to the under-16 media timeout. When you guys wrap things up, it'll be Boog and Fran with the call. We'll move over here to ESPN.
All right, thanks, Chris. Kansas, again, they got upset in Morgantown last month. Hard to see that happening again today, too.
Well, that's the thing about Kansas, and until somebody goes in that building and beats them, the road still goes through them. K-State has the 2-game lead. K-State, I think, is primed to win it this year, but Bill Self's team, I think, is starting to really hit their stride. They kind of retooled itself. Gerald Vick left the team, and Now they've got the young guns along with Lawson. He's playing very well offensively.
Under a minute to play. And the games remaining for Texas Tech. As Benson scores, he'll go to the line. Crowd erupting, and these reserves have success. Host Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Texas. The road games at TCU and Iowa State.
Not only success, but a fearless drive to the rack. Well, that makes a fun Saturday. An early tip. Everybody's in.
Everybody gets to play.
Everybody scores.
Not going to be a fun trip home for the Baylor Bears. Banged up, beat up, and they're going to get blown out here on the road today. Fourth straight win for Texas Tech, and all in blowout fashion.
Well, the thing about them today is they're knocking down shots. They only, in the Big 12, they only make about 7 threes per game, and today they have 12, I believe, or 13 at this point, and if they start knocking down shots from the outside to go with this stingy defense, they're going to be a player in this race. Definitely.
Meyer at the line with 16.7 left. We've got Bert Smith over at the monitor. I think they want to put a second or two back on the clock.
Oh, good. Very, very important to do that.
The clock kept running, and at this point it really is irrelevant, but they're holding up play. Don't forget West Virginia, Kansas coming up here on ESPN, another one in the Big 12. And this is a little maddening. You know, they don't need to take a ton of time with this.
But they're going to.
But they're going to.
They obviously don't have the early flight out of Lubbock tonight.
There's Meyer going in for the dunk. He was fouled by Benson. Clock kept running for about 3 seconds, so they're going to put 19.4 up there. And again, not that it matters.
Well, it doesn't matter because Texas Tech is going to take the ball in and not shoot it. Chris Beard is not going to let his team shoot it at this point. I don't believe, although the walk-ons, you want to give them a little bit more freedom out there than a normal end-of-game situation.
Red Raiders trying to dribble this out. Now they're going to get an alley-oop. Oh, my.
Chris Beard not happy. He told him to pull it out.
Benson with the tomahawk jam on the feet from Sorrells. This crowd another reason to cheer. Game over. And you can see Chris